Hi, I'm Dr. A.B. Mendelsohn. Gender-affirming surgery is so much more than just a medical procedure. It's a result of personal journey, resilience, and transformation. We would like to learn directly from gender-diverse individuals as they share their experiences, challenges, and hopes. As such, we present their voices. In this episode, we discuss significant mental health challenges. As if you feel that you are suffering from this, please make sure to reach out and get the support that's needed. So many different resources are available. Hopefully, friends and family are important to start, your medical care providers, as well as important institutions like the Trevor Project, which is available in the information below. Welcome to episode 4 of Their Voices. And today we get to welcome in Melissa, who is the Gender Service Program Manager for APLA. And this is a tremendous treat and privilege for us to have you here and to just learn from you. So, Melissa, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
I am. I mean, when we started this kind of initial discussion with the team saying, this is going to be a tremendous opportunity. This was I think there was a small dance in the office when we were able to kind of lock this in because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there is.
So before we get going, Melissa, tell us just a little bit about yourself, a little intro.
There's not a little about myself. There's a lot about myself. So, I'm kind of from everywhere. I moved around a lot when I was younger, like every year and a half, 2 years we were moving. Lived in Fargo, North Dakota, New Jersey, Minnesota. And then I ended up going over to Portland and lived in Portland, Oregon for about 20 years. And in that time, I competed as a professional snowboarder at the World Cup level, did Winter X Games for about 9 years, and got tired of the rain, got tired of the snow, and traded in for surf and sun. So here I'm in Southern California for pretty much the last 10 years.
I thought you were cool before I knew all of that. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to get distracted and ask you all of those questions because we have goals today.
Yes,
we have a lot of things that we need to cover. So I'm just we'll talk about that off camera. That's all cool. Specifically regarding your role and your important work that you're doing with APLA. I guess how did that part start? How did you get plugged into this particular organization?
It kind of goes back to about 10 years ago. I had an honest conversation with myself and was like, okay, if you're going to transition, what are you going to do with this? And I really decided at that point I wanted to help others that didn't have a voice for themselves. So it kind of led me into support groups, and I was in the facilitating the support group at the LGBTQ Center in Long Beach. And I was approached by APLA Health. They wanted to do a lunch and learn, and they were like, how do we do this better? How can we make this better for our trans patients? And I had a lot of ideas, and I kind of threw them out. And they were like, well, where do we find this person? And I'm like, well, I'm sitting right here. Let's go. And it was always something I wanted to do. I'm really great at taking things from nothing and building them into something greater. So when I came onto APLA Health, we had about 200 patients. Now we're up to a little over 1,000 gender diverse patients, which is amazing. And I lead the program. What that means is I make sure our staff are kind of culturally competent to work with trans individuals, that they feel comfortable working with them. And then also, too, we work directly with the patients. So the patients have the opportunity to speak with somebody who's also trans that has gone through the journey. So they can understand that they're not alone, that they're in a safe place, and that we're here to do the best thing we can do for them.
Again, about a million different follow-up points on that. So we're going to try to stay on topic here. What you're saying is that you saw a need and you did something about it.
Yes.
That it's a novel concept is a little bit depressing. But that being said, what we're hoping to do is that your story is out there and hopefully a few light bulbs, hopefully more than just a few light bulbs go off.
Yeah.
And understanding this is all it takes. It takes someone who's dedicated, who understands how to get it done, and really is willing to stand up and say, I'm going to fight for those who really don't know how yet
Hmm.
or have tried and failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, it's always been about advocacy.
Yeah.
I think there's a time and a place to protest. But for me, I really feel like my energy is I wanted to focus on advocacy
Right.
and just helping people just find what they want to find, and helping them get through their journey, because it's a huge journey. And it's like, where do you start?
Well, that's a great question. Where does someone start? Like, how would someone come to APLA? I think I need service. I don't even know. What would someone do?
Um, Usually, the best case is, a lot of our patients hear us from word of mouth from other patients, because we do care for our patients. We care about their expectations, what they think. We care about using the right pronouns. We care about using their chosen name, and respecting them and hearing them. And I think that's the big thing is that, we're willing to spend the time to listen to these patients. I want to hear their story. I want to hear where they're at and where they want to go, because then that tells us, okay, this is how we can help them. So a lot of people do hear us through word of mouth. We have 5 clinics through, LA County. Our largest now is down in Long Beach, which is pretty much underserved for a lot of everything. And it's a city in itself. It's just as large or larger than Minneapolis, which I grew kind of up in. So, I feel at home in Long Beach, but I think, the best thing is people can reach us
You're right.
with a simple phone number. And the phone number doesn't reach your front desk, it reaches my team. You get to have a conversation with a trans person. We make sure that you're comfortable. We set you up. We pass you over to enrollment, get you through that. We get you set up on your first appointment. And then essentially, what we like to do is walk somebody through a gender assessment and just understand your story, who you are, maybe where you're struggling, where you're doing good, and what you see for yourself, because everybody's vision for themselves is completely different. So we first want to know, okay, what do you want to, where do you want to go? Because some people do want to go from one side of the spectrum to the other, and some just kind of want to find a happy medium. And so it's important to hear them.
Yeah, when I certainly began my journey as a provider, there was like this like almost like a recipe, almost a cookbook. Okay, and then you take this person and you do this to them and do this to them, do this to them, and then finally this is the last step, and you can't do anything out of order. And then once you get to the step, congratulations, you are done. And it's like what?
Yeah.
And so this approach, very similar to your own approach,
Yes.
somehow is a novel concept and it really is crazy. Let's get to know someone because are there services? And I do want to go into the details of the different services, specifically that a person can reach through the program. Um, but before we even get to that, you have to get to know the person. You have to understand who they are.
You do.
Uh,
You
uh,
do. Because, I mean, you can have individuals that walk through your door that are like, hey, I'm here for services. And I've even had it happen, what, 10 years ago, where a doctor's like, oh, you're actually coming along nicely. Like, how long have you been on T? And I'm like, I'm going the other way.
yeah.
So, you have to hear their story just to make sure everything gets correct from the start. And it's also, too, about making sure that we input the information so it passes along to the providers.
Within the APLA health system, there are providers within the system. And then are you also working with providers outside of the network?
Yeah. So, what we would be kind of considered is, kind of your general physician,
Hmm.
your health clinic, your community health clinic. That, anybody from the clinic, especially, underserved or low income. If you don't have health insurance, we can help you get enrolled in health insurance. And so these people find us, and it's fantastic.
That is, I mean,
And
outside of the gender affirming and the gender diverse sphere, just having someone out there looking for your overall general health and helping you navigate any
yeah,
part of healthcare is so critical, particularly something as complex as what we're dealing with.
yeah. So we have like different aspects, which is nice because we have our own internal behavioral health team. And our wait times are considerably less than a lot of other organizations. And a lot of times you can see a therapist within probably about 1 month, which is really great. And we are starting to get therapists of lived experience, which is awesome because sometimes when you are gender diverse, you want to speak to somebody else that kind of knows what you're going through. So that's amazing. We have our own internal dental clinics and a lot of our facilities too. We have several physicians, doctors, PAs, nurses. But there are certain things that we do outsource for and send out referrals for. And so we don't do any surgeries in house at APLA Health. So what we do is we just network with people like yourself. We really try and work with the individuals that are receiving good feedback from the patients because we want to send our patients to the right providers.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly the follow up, which is that's a lot of pressure. So when you, as that patient, the person's advocate, are going to be referring or sending or asking them to go see someone, you're essentially giving them the stamp of your approval. And for better or for worse, I mean, obviously, no one can guarantee an outcome, but that's a lot of pressure. So, how do you do that? How do you do the best you can do to make sure that your network are people you believe in?
Yeah. Well, I think, it's coming from us,
Right.
trans individuals that have gone through this process themselves. So we know kind of what to look for, who we should trust. And it's talking with the patient and finding out, okay, what is it that well, I want FFS. Well, what of FFS do you want? Let's talk about the pieces that are going to equate to that surgery. And then also let's talk about like downtime, recovery, concerns, expectations. So these are all things that my team kind of covers. And then, when it's like a 45-minute casual conversation like this. And then I send a referral over to our behavioral health team. And within usually about 1 week, they'll turn around, do kind of a quick consultation, no gatekeeping, a quick consultation with the patient too by a behavioral therapist. We send over the referral and the letters to usually like LA Care is one of the providers that we love working with,
We love them too.
right?
Unbelievable.
And usually they turn around their approvals within a week. So usually that time process, we're talking like a couple weeks. Patient can reach out, get their consultation scheduled. And I mean, the longest wait is just, the surgery wait. But we've really kind of taken that whole process. It used to take 6 months, and I'm like, what are we doing? And so we brought it down to basically around 2 weeks, which is amazing
Uh,
because nobody should be waiting.
That's exactly right. I mean, we've talked about it. I say it all the time, and I'm not even remotely close to our patients, our gender affirming patients, specifically for gender affirming, apart from ongoing hormone or HRT care, which is more of a chronic treatment, patients should be in a doctor's office.
No.
You're good. You're
Yeah.
healthy. Go live your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. And I mean, the good thing is like a lot of our patients, um, they come in for into APLA Health just to maybe sometimes get their hormone
Right.
injections because they like coming to our facilities.
Yeah.
And it's good because, we get to do other things with them, check in with them. So to be honest, I sometimes feel like some of our trans patients are our healthiest patients.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. To learn more about our gender affirming surgical services, please visit our website at www.genderaffirmingcarecenter.com. When you brought up your behavioral therapists and your mental health experts and integrating that as a really comprehensive care package for our community, um, it is tough because one, there is on one side of the coin, there is this expectation and really a requirement that every gender diverse patient has that, which you don't really find in the rest of medicine. So that's on one side. But on the other side, you do see, just like in any other part of medicine, there are concurrent mental health diagnoses within the gender diverse community.
Yeah.
Those two things aren't associated by default, but they exist. And so making sure that those are also cared for is critical.
Yeah. And I mean it's pretty amazing because there's so many ways to transition, or what I like to say is, your gender journey, because sometimes it's not really even a full transition for these individuals. I've had friends that it's just been social transitioning, because they're already maybe feminine or masculine and they didn't really need to do a lot of surgeries, and hormones weren't really an option for them. It just didn't feel right for them.
Right.
So that's where we'd like to listen to our patients and find out, hey, okay, fine, hormones weren't right for you, but you do want to do surgeries. That shouldn't stop you. And nobody should tell you you have to do hormones to get surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, we've hit a couple like hard stops through the authorization process because of these completely arbitrary, generalized requirements that make no logical nor medical sense
Correct.
along those lines.
Well, and the good thing is there has been, evolutions in the W path
Oh my
guidelines,
gosh, yes.
which is good. And I think that's always something that people need to to understand, is that they're guidelines. A lot of times people looked at it as like a rule book,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, this is just, things we want to look out for
Mhm.
to make sure that we do have the patient's best interest in mind.
Yes.
Um,
When you think about some of the priorities of moving the program in APLA forward over the next 3 years, 5 years, not super long term, but what are some of the kind of the short term goals that you're looking to continue to advance the program?
One, I just see us seeing more patients.
Beautiful.
We have so much room, especially at our Long Beach clinic. And, we just opened up another clinic in West Hollywood,
Congrats.
the Michael Gottlieb
Okay.
Clinic,
There we
which
go.
was, if you don't know Michael Gottlieb, he was kind of one of the first individuals to identify AIDS and diagnose it. He actually worked with Rock Hudson back in the day. So, our roots at APLA Health go way back into like the 1980s of just advocating for individuals. And what I find very unique is that, we have an kind of an organization that was born out of looking after and caring for gay men that were dying of AIDS. But we also have these individuals too that are like, hey, let's look out for trans people too. So, it's a great organization. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, growth. We need to
Yeah.
grow.
So I think we're probably going to see 2,500 patients maybe in the next like two couple years.
Let's
And so
go.
really the big thing is just going to be for, finding the providers
Right.
that are
Interesting.
educated and wanting to work specifically with the gender diverse community.
Yeah. Yeah. Making sure the medical infrastructure is ready for us.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
They
they will
better
be.
be.
If I had my say,
Oh,
they will be.
it's gonna happen. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay. Let's, if it's okay, let's maybe discuss a little bit about your personal journey, because I think that that is incredibly interesting, and I think it'll be very helpful for a lot of people to understand.
Yeah.
So
Um,
moving back to Minnesota
yeah.
and going back to Fargo, even, tell us what that was like in terms of. I mean, it was different time, different
Yeah,
place.
it was. And I think for me, like I always knew something was different. And back then you didn't know what it was, especially if you're living in the upper Midwest. I mean, come on. And so, I kind of felt like there was something wrong with me. Like, and I was like, why do I feel better wearing girl clothes than boy clothes? And it was something that I had to hide. Um, and what was, I think, interesting as I've talked about my journey so many times through the years is that in moving every year and a half, what I always found that I had to do was just to conform.
Right.
I was having to conform to survive because I was meeting new people all the time. And so I never had an opportunity to really work and reflect on myself. Um, and even after I graduated from high school, because I went to, thankfully, I only did go to one high school, but I did go to two different kindergartens and
Oh,
about four different elementary schools,
that is
which
tough.
was pretty tough. Um, but I think it made me stronger. Um, and I think, then I got busy on snowboarding and I was traveling the world. I went to 19 different countries. And then it was in like 2006 when I said, I need to focus on a different path. And I was like, okay, I'm going to retire from snowboarding. And all of a sudden, all of my identity was gone and I wasn't moving.
Hmm.
And I just had this huge identity crisis. And this came to the surface and it came fast. Um, and I found myself like spending, if I had quiet time in my house with my ex-wife and my two stepsons, I, would spend a little time on me. And what was so silly is I would kind of do myself up and do a great job. And I would just be like, oh my God, I feel so ashamed to take it off.
Right. Quickly.
And thankfully, I found kind of an outlet in Portland, um, a group of girls, and I kind of was like, this isn't something I really want to hide. I think hiding it is kind of a self-destructive behavior. Um, and I was like, let's go out with this and let's just see what happened. And I've never really been somebody who's been ultimately too concerned about what other people think. I mean, we all are, but I just knew that like I just wanted to go out. And then for me, it was just like, okay, like if I had the time, like, okay, let's get dolled up and let's go grocery shopping. Let's do normal activities. And, I've lost some loved ones through this journey, but it's probably the best journey I've ever done. Um, and I'm just happy. Actually, yesterday was 10 years since I did my name and gender change. So it was like my 10th birthday,
Yeah.
which is pretty amazing.
Happy
So
birthday. That's
thank you.
amazing. And congratulations. I mean, when I hear this and someone does discuss it, I mean, my first reaction is always congratulations. I mean, congratulations on the strength, congratulations on just the fortunate ability to make this realization.
Yeah. And, the problem is like, especially for some of us individuals, we bloomed late in life because there wasn't this knowledge. And so, it's interesting because people are like, oh, where are all these trans people coming from? And it's like, we've always been there. It's just we haven't really been kind of out like we are. And I love what we're doing now because you have individuals that are younger that are able to find their identity and go on to live great lives, successful lives, as opposed to looking in the mirror going, "Oh my God, how am I going to keep going?" And that's kind of the way it is for a lot of us. That it's always like, "I can't do this." Like it's either give up or go,
Right.
and we want to see people go forward.
Well, the statistics are so overwhelmingly obvious in terms of what you're saying. I mean, a 9 times higher suicide rate in the gender diverse. 9 times. That's not 9% higher. That's 900%,
Yep.
right? That is so astronomically horrifying
Yeah.
that there's not this clamoring to support more programs like APLA to make sure that we save lives. And
Yeah.
people who don't understand what I get to do, people give you a hard time, people give me a hard time. They're like, why? I'm saving lives. I went to
Yeah.
medical school to save lives, and I'm doing this,
Yeah.
and I am so lucky.
Yeah. I mean, it is really about surviving and thriving, and it's not about like pushing any sort of agenda. We're just over here trying to live and be happy
Yeah,
and make it through life like the rest of us.
yeah.
We just got dealt a little different card.
Your
I
journey
I
is
didn't.
your own.
I mean, sometimes I say I wouldn't even wish it on my worst enemy to say, you know what? I wish you would have had to deal with what I had to deal with growing up because it's nothing you want to wish on anybody.
Yeah, you
It's a
hear.
journey
Yeah,
that nobody really can understand.
yeah. So many trigger comments from the uninformed world, which is like, oh, they're doing this because it's cool or it's hip. I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're and I breathe.
Being trans is definitely
It's
it can be exciting and it can be rewarding, but the path and the journey to get there is incredibly rough. There's so many bumps and bruises that I see our community going through, and kind of that's where I'm at with this program is to really kind of help limit those bumps and bruises and help these patients navigate all these barriers that have been set up. I mean, if you need a heart surgery, you get a heart surgery.
you just show up.
You just show up. If you're sick, you get taken care of. So why can't we get taken care of? And I think some of these words keep evolving, which is good.
Hmm.
Um, because I think for a long time they thought of this as a condition uh,
Yep.
that was like chronic,
Hmm.
and it's not. There's so many trans people in this world that we don't even know about
Right.
because they're just living their lives
Right.
and are happy with who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing. That's exactly what it is. And so these ridiculous conversations that are so hyper focused on ideas like pronouns and bathrooms, like, okay, you're missing the point here. There are real people here, and they're wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, my boss is named Terry, and you're like, Terry is well, hey, that's where pronouns come
yeah.
in.
It's a
They
real simple
help.
yeah, it's a real simple process. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's strange how, yeah, exactly. So I love it. I think the Los Angeles, SoCal, and really the entire gender diverse community is very lucky to have someone like yourself. And
Thank
really,
you.
in terms of what you've been so generous in sharing, is, yeah, I think your journey, your upbringing, where you had to go, what it all built you to who you are. And boy, talk about paying it forward. It's just it's very inspiring. So thank you, Melissa.
Thank
I
you.
no, oh my goodness gracious. Um, okay, your so many things. Your incredible story in terms of how you really kind of flowered through your transition um, was exciting to hear. When you would define success and happiness now moving forward, now that you have gotten to your 10-year birthday, um, how do you continue to find that happiness at this point for yourself?
I think the easiest thing for me is one, I can look in the mirror and see the person that I always wanted to see. And that's just incredible. But it's interesting because I feel like the journey never ends.
That's
Um,
for sure.
it's a continual process. Um, you know, I myself sometimes still struggle with my voice, because it's, and it's because it's something that like I've had to self train and work on for the better part of the last 10
Oh
years.
yeah.
And it's something that, like, as you casually get comfortable and you're talking with people, and then all of a sudden you start dropping down, and then you're here. Um, so it's tough because it's like I feel like you always have to be on. And
Right.
like, it's like, why can't we just be who we are?
Yeah.
And that's what I love what you're doing.
Yeah. This expectation of performance is ridiculous, and so I think that excuse me. Oh boy. Um, when bringing the conversation to voices, which I'm a little geeked about, but um, so many of our gender affirming patients are really they come in very averse to voice therapy because they do see it as a way to reinforce this performance type expectation, which is not accurate. And I think eventually we will dedicate at another time a lot of understanding of what voice therapy is from a gender affirming standpoint. But the voice is something that, yeah, if your natural instrument is to be either too low or too high for who you are as an individual, it's exhausting
It is.
mentally and physically.
It is because you're essentially, you know, uh, maybe a bass singer. And I'm not a choir person, by the way, but you're trying to sing soprano the whole time, all the time,
All the time.
every time. But it's this thing you have to focus and practice and practice and practice. And but I can tell you, after 8 years of doing it, you still fall out of it.
Yeah.
It's tough to stay there.
Yeah. It's tough and it's unrealistic expectation and it's really unfair.
It is.
It's just
It
unfair.
is.
It's
It
I
is.
don't have to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't like my voice, but I don't feel that it doesn't fit. I just
Hmm.
don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'm also not a singer, thankfully for everyone around me. So
Same.
it's we all have a little bit of that, but what you have is so far beyond what could be described as just being a normal person. You have this expectation, and you have to be there all the time on.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of times that undesired factors of your voice will come through at the exact worst times, whether
Yeah.
that is times of stress, right? Public speaking,
Couple drinks.
couple drinks, really early in the morning, late at night.
Hmm.
Um, I have many people that I have the privilege to have gotten to know and help along their journey who haven't laughed in public in decades.
Yeah.
And for someone maybe watching this who is not part of the gender diverse community, just think about what that means, that you're scared to laugh.
Well, and I mean, think about it too. Like, I put in all this work for the last 10 years to be who I want to be. And to all of a sudden maybe slip up with my voice somewhere in public, and somebody gives me an odd
Oh
look.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, are you a dude? And you're like, do I look like a dude?
Yeah.
You know,
What part
so
of yeah.
um, but that's really triggering for an individual because you're like, what did I spend the last 10 years doing if I haven't even got there? And that's really demoralizing.
It's
And
dehumanizing.
it is. It is.
And the more success, sometimes we become victims of our success, not only by the fact that, yes, you look wonderful and you present, and you are who you are, and you are a success in every way. And as you're more successful in terms of advocating for the gender diverse population and community, it becomes more visible to the
It does.
general population.
Yeah.
And we get detectives. Uh,
Everybody in LA has a good transdar.
oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, and
But if I go back home to northern Minnesota, nobody has a clue.
how weird that it's full circle. Now that's the more
Right?
accepting part of me. How sad.
Oh, I always think it's nice when I can, go sit down in a bar and I have a guy next to me in a MAGA hat and he says, "Can I buy you a beer?" I'm like,
Yes,
"Yes, you can."
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a good time tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I I'm gonna try not to cry too much about that one. That is
No, it's happened, by the way,
fantastic.
too. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So much to talk about off camera. Okay. um, okay. I think we're gonna try to bring this home for
Yeah.
a smooth landing. A question that we do like to end off
Yeah.
on our episodes is, what does trans joy really mean to you?
Trans joy is just really kind of finding that internal happiness that has always wanted to be there, um, that just starts to flourish as you start to kind of go through this transition. Um, and that joy takes a lot of beatings.
Mm.
But when you get to the end, um, it's amazing. Sometimes I have to pinch myself. Um, you know, I've when I one of the reasons why I decided to come out was I had a friend who was very dear to me, got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Um, and within 6 months, they were gone. And we had talked about doing this journey to kind of together
Right.
to support each other as friends and as colleagues. And when she was diagnosed, I said, you know what? There's no more waiting. I'm gonna do this. And so I can say that I found my trans joy
Yeah.
because I've kind of like pretty much done everything that I've wanted to do. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, now what's next?
Well, you're an inspiration. You're an
Thank you.
inspiration, not only for providers, not only for people within gender diverse community, but it's just how to live life. You're doing it. You're rocking it.
Hey, we're all humans.
Yeah.
We all got put on this world. Let's just get along and enjoy this planet that we live on. It's incredible.
It's real quick, as unfortunately you've seen firsthand. It's real quick, and yeah, let's embrace that joy. Let's
Yes.
embrace that joy. Um, this has been so much fun.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Thank you for the work that you do. We're gonna make sure that we get more information out there about how to hook into APLA, how to get to meet you in person, because this, in terms of that growth that's needed, I can't wait to see that happen.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.